wanted to ask. So I'm Laura Mabe. I own the Jubilant Journal. My purpose is to help women reconnect with themselves. I do that through journaling and energy healing. So it's a beautiful pairing. And just kind of provide the tools to help people naturally raise their vibration. Um, and I feel that that's a really great segue into Terra Joy because Terra Joy and I have a very similar mission and values, and coming together to host the Holistic Wellness Show has been such a treat. So, Terra Joy, I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get into some questions for Jeannine.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I am Tara Joy, co host for Holistic Harmony Wellness Show. And I offer a bunch of things, but what I'll focus on today is the intuitive readings, mediumship readings, and energy healing sessions. And I do that through basically reading your energy and also connecting in with the Akashic records. And beautiful things come out. And I'm always amazed at what comes through and how it benefits each individual. It's just fantastic. Yes, and I'd like to welcome Jeannine Riant from Fully Aligned Studio, one of our vendors for the May 17th show. So why don't you introduce yourself and a little bit about your business?
Well, when you said Akashic, you really touched a piece because I also do Akashic records. I think they bring that, as you know, the subconscious to the consciousness, and really get you to look at your programs and what's happening. So
Yeah.
always nice to find another Akashic person out there. So I have and created and own the Fully Aligned Studio, which has no more studio because I did lose it in the floods of 2023, but I am looking for a studio. So two studios in my home and in different venues and different places, but I really invite women. We're all on the same path. I really feel we're pretty aligned. But I invite women to tap into their bodies, and all of my work really focuses inwards in the body. So there's not much of this when you come see me. We look at what's happening in the body, and I help guide women into their bodies and see what they've. That I always say, snuff and stuff what they've snuffed and stuffed, and all that pent up emotion that we've pushed so far in and for so long, and help unravel that before it creates havoc in their bodies. Because I say we all know, but not everyone knows when we have an energetic block and we move through it becoming a muscle block, and then an ache, a pain, a dis-ease, and then a disease. It starts from a long time ago. And to help connect with the body, to help move pieces in the body that are sometimes, most times, we're not even aware, helps to shift the energy and create a more aligned piece. For, I say, women, mostly it's women who come see me, but I'm never opposed to anyone else coming to see me. Men out there. Yeah, it's really that engagement into the body that is where my true passion lies.
I love that. That's absolutely beautiful. I feel like, do you listen to Louise Hay? The way you described that reminded me the dis-ease. I love that term, and it's very descriptive and telling in itself of what you're all about. And I think what you're doing is absolutely beautiful. And we're really excited to bring that to our holistic harmony community. So yeah, thank you for that. Can you tell us a little bit about like the background, like how you got started, what your passion was for the Fully Aligned Studio?
Yeah, so it started 20 years ago. um, when you hit chaos, and usually that's when people wake up. I was 34, and I always thought I had the white picket fence family, and everything was great and wonderful and beautiful. And then I started to realize that, maybe the relationship isn't, quite the way it's supposed to be. And then realizing through that piece, when things were kind of shifting in negative ways that I needed to make a decision. I was a principal for 10 years and I enjoyed my job, but I had always said that I wouldn't stay for a job in a job just for pension. And that 10,
Mhm.
I would roll over and look at my husband and I said, I want to go to work today. And that was the year that stuff unraveled and things shifted. And so when I finished the year, I knew it was my last year, and I knew there was a piece of me that was missing, missing something. I didn't know what it was, but it was aching for something. It was, what do I go from here? What do I need to do? I know I don't want to continue into that career, but how do I refocus? And all of a sudden it was like, oh, there's a training on this. Oh, there's a workshop on this. And I would find every workshop, class, retreat, if there was one close by, I would find places where I could connect to me and rediscover me. And one of those pieces was a 2-year training, which was very intense on whole body focusing, which was all about the body. And I remember the teacher, we did an exercise face to face with the partner, and it was just to listen and say nothing as the other person expressed what was in the body. And we did a role play. And afterwards, we were discussing, and I looked at the teacher. I said, that felt really good. She goes, doesn't it feel good to be in presence and grounded? And I thought I was grounded. In that year, I had been kind of fueling through things. And I go, yeah, it does. But I said, is that going to make me boring? And she said, no, that's going to give you balance, vitality. And that was 20 years ago. And I never forgot that.
I love that.
And say the story because that balance, vitality has really moved me forward in so many instances where I could just get to take a step back and come back to my ground and come back to the body. So it started there. And I stopped teaching and I just kept learning and learning and Reiki and family constellations and movement and body wisdom and Akashic and access bars and all these beautiful things emerged. And then in 2017, finally, it was the separation year, 27 years into a marriage. And when uh, I came back to financial crisis. I had to go back to teaching, and then 2 years into, I think maybe 3 years into the teaching space, it's like no. I got back on my feet. I'm kind of okay, and all of a sudden, I mean, I do meditate quite a bit in the mornings, and I could hear, "Find a place, find a place, find the place," and I'm like, "What am I going to do in this place?" And that was literally the beginning of the business, the official fully aligned studio business. So it was 20, I don't know, 15 years in the making. Um, Continuously working on me and then offering services here and there with women and people. But then really just saying, okay, it's my time. I'm, 50 years old. Let's do it.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can tell just when you speak about your business and what brought you to this point, you have a little bit of a glow. Like it looks really good on you. I absolutely love it. I do just want to comment on one thing that you said earlier. You said that um, there's that moment where you kind of wake up. Do you feel in your practice or even Tara Joy in yours, the age group that happens is usually like mid to late 30s ish? I find, and especially like what you were describing, I feel like for women, that is around, that's kind of who we're talking to in my experience, because that is when you start to wake up, as you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I remember I had two lovely ladies as neighbors, and one of them told me they were like their children were grown and like they were grandparents and whatnot. And I remember her saying, she said, "Oof, you're like connecting to different parts of you at a young age." And that was what, oh, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And I thought, oh, she said, we only had our like, oh, what'd you say, like our awakening moment, our realization moment late in our late 40s, early 50s. But I am noticing that maybe at that time it was a bit in the early stage, but today
Yeah.
it's like even you get a lot of, well, I don't know if it's a lot, but late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. It's no more like the generations that are coming up. It's no more, oh, I'm going to reach 50 and then have to create a change. I feel like it's getting earlier and earlier and earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that, you know, we do reach a point as women too that, with our careers and our relationships aside, we just, and especially like you say, nowadays, we're um we're in a place universally where we're just like ready. Like I'm ready for the next step, and I think it's more acceptable now to kind of explore different methods of healing, and there's more for resources out there. So yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I relate to all of that as well, and I feel very similar. And I've noticed how the terminology that only used to be used in like spiritual communities
Mm,
is now being used in mainstream. For example, recently I saw the mirror effect being used in mainstream to be that belief that everything is a reflection of you,
mhm,
and it was shared by someone who wasn't in the spiritual community, not an energy healer. And so I feel it's beautiful that the good vibes, talking about things in energy terms is all happening. And I 100% recognize that the younger generations are much more in tune with their intuition already,
mhm,
Absolutely.
where I feel my generation was very like, you got to do the logical analytical thing that society wants you to do, and
mhm,
where there's 20-year-olds who are starting businesses that just take off because it's their passion.
right.
And I'm like, amazing, and also teach me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so along those lines of intuition, Jeannine, I know a lot of your work is based on intuition. So I'm wondering about your story of when you knew that intuition was guiding you and how you developed that and into your business and practice.
That's a good and interesting question. So, intuition, I think in the first 10 years of me connecting to my body, the first initial place where I realized that there was more than the physical 3D body was when, I think that year, first year when things were kind of iffy. And I went to my massage therapist and I said, I don't need a conversation. I need a massage. I just need a conversation. And we chatted. And then, do you want to come to a drumming circle? And I'm like, sure, whatever. And that's when I realized, oh my God, there's a whole other world. And then I'd say the first 10 years, what's it was learning, it was asking questions, it was being curious, it was, oh, that actually worked. Oh, I like, oh, that like manifestation. Um, so but it was there and it was, I think I used to think it was very solid. But then at one point, and Tara, Joe, you probably can relate to it, and then maybe you both can, but I went to a reader just before the separation, and she said, You don't trust the universe.
Hmm.
Yes, I do. And she said, No, you don't trust the universe. And then inside my head, I was like, What is she? I've been in the energy world for over 10 years. What does it mean I don't trust the universe? And it was, she's like, well, your guides are telling me you can stay with him and live a mediocre life, or you can leave and find, live a joyful life. And I kind of went, in my head, I went, yeah, she's right. She's right. And it was very interesting because I had been thinking about leaving for 2 years.
Hmm.
And this is one of the pieces where with women, I'm like, we don't need to settle. And, really, truly, um, I could have probably left even before 2 years. But those last 2 years were like, okay, is one of us going to say, are we going to say anything? Are we, right? And I was trying to the best of my ability, but it wasn't working. And when I finally separated, I came back to Canada. He is living in another country. And I realized what I didn't know was I came back to financial crisis, like big financial crisis. And I was tested on so many fronts. I was tested on, I had two homes. We had three, one out in the other country, two here. I went to both homes and I walked into those spaces and I thought, there's no way I can live here. Like, it was just so big. It was massive. It has served its purpose, beautiful memories. But my whole body, my whole intuitive self was like, mm-mm.
Hmm.
Oh, here comes my
Little visitor.
she knows. She can energy. And so when I started thinking to myself, okay, I'm just going to go live in another part of the province because I don't want to be where I am, and it'll be okay. And everyone around me would be like, well, you can't, you're going to pay so much more. How can you pay another? And I was like, I had to tune out everything that everyone was telling me and focus on what was happening in my body and focus on my intuitive muscle that I had been practicing, but that needed to really kick into gear at this point for me to be okay with my decisions. And so I didn't stay in the homes, and probably three, and I made the decision and everybody was telling me what to do. And 3 weeks later, I met a lady who said, oh, I have an apartment here, but I don't want to be here, but I'm stuck in a rental. I want to be where you are. And I said, well, I have a home here and I don't want to be stuck in how far. And so we literally just swapped. So it was free to live in this space while she lived in mine. She didn't pay me rent either. And it just flowed. But that intuitive piece, if I would not have listened to myself and stayed in the home, one of those homes, one, I would have been miserable. Two, my alignment would have been way off. And I would not have gone the course of where I've been to get me to where I am now. And
Yeah.
4 years of struggling, of, thinking I'm going to live in my car with my 16-year-old, or at that time she had now been, around 17-year-old daughter. I can't buy a winter coat for her. I'm 3 months behind rent and I'm going to get evicted. And I got the call on the Friday night and I'm like, well, universe, here it is. And I remember being in my bed in my room, like just standing, and I like, universe, what do I do? Like, and I just heard the word trust, like it yelled, and I laid back on the bed and I started to cry. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna trust, but I don't know how. And the next morning, an hour before noon, when I had to have the money in, someone calls me and says, "You need help with your rent this month?" I'm like, "Yes, please." And it was all the like every time I was brought to the edge, and I would just surrender. And I was brought to the edge and I would just surrender. And those 4 years of having three homes, always telling myself, when I sell a home, I'll be okay. When I sell a home, I'll be okay. After the fourth year, I looked at myself one day and I went, oh my God, I'm not making any money. I'm paying all the bills. I'm okay. I don't need to sell a home. And let that go. 2 weeks later, I get an offer on a home. It's all about, so to me, it's rendering. And that last year of those 4 years, I went to myself, I looked at myself one day when I was meditating and I went, I now trust the universe. So he was telling me that I didn't trust the universe. And so I was brought on this big path to learn to trust the universe. And it's about following heart piece, following. I need a pen when I leave the door. No, I don't need a pen when I leave the door. Oh, my intuition's telling me to bring a pen when I leave the door. I bring the pen when I leave the door. Because when I'm at that place, someone needs a pen. I offer them the pen. We make a connection, and maybe 6 months down the line, I'm talking to someone because of the connection I made by giving a pen to someone that day. So I do not falter now on intuition. It's what the body is in making me do, and there's an inclination to do. I follow it, and that's how I also built the studio.
I absolutely
Beautiful.
love that. Thank you for sharing. I love the way you put that, and I love that, um, you scenario where normally you would be just so low, you found a way to turn it into this beautiful story, but also letting go of that resistance really allowed you to build on where you are right now. And I do find, I have so many conversations with people where that trusting the universe sounds easy, but we know when you're in that low vibe, it can be so difficult. And that's such a great uh, way of describing like how important it is to kind of let that resistance go and just trust and believe because obviously it did you very well. And now it's funny when you have those moments where your ego kind of gets in the way and you're like, I'm super spiritual and I totally trust in the universe. And you have a moment like that and you're like, yeah, okay, I do have a little bit left to learn. It's okay. So can you tell us a little bit about who I know we've already talked a little bit about this, but can you tell us more about who would benefit from your services and what you would offer them?
Mm. So it's interesting because I mean, we know what's happening in the world, and this is not a discussion about what's happening in the world, but there's lots of anxiety, there's lots
Mhm,
of fear, there are lots of places. One of the reasons that I did build the studio was because at that time there was a lot of division in the world. There still is, but one of my sole purposes in building that studio was to create a place, a co-creative healing space where anybody's welcome. If you're kind, you can walk through the door. I don't care. You're this, you're that, you're doing this, you're doing that. If you're kind and you want to place the land, you can walk through the door. And I think since then, a lot of women find themselves alone. They've gone through massive upheavals, changes. I mean, we've got the violence, everything is rising. Suicide is rising. There's so many people who are longing for a belonging and connection. Um, so, what I'm noticing, especially in this past year, I'm having people come to me when they're saying, "Oh, I've been talking with my therapist and I feel stuck. It's not moving forward. You know, it was good in the beginning, but now I don't know where to turn. I don't know what to do." And they come to me and we do a boundaries session. We do a family constellation flow. We do something, whole body focusing, something that brings them like fully into their body. The buzzword nowadays is somatic. And I've been doing that inner, connection to the body somatic work since the whole body focusing. But it's kind of like yoga, where yoga was 25 years ago. This talk is like kind of in that space. But they finish a boundary session with me and it's like, oh my God, like so much has lifted just in this 1 hour. So if you're a person who's like, I don't know where to turn to anymore, I don't know who to speak to, I don't know what to do, I maybe you're a person who's like, I need to feel like there's so much I have in me that's been snuffed and stuffed and I don't know where to unpack it. I don't know where, like, someone has told me like where to unzip it. If and someone tell me, if I unzip this, ooh, it's gonna be ugly. I'm gonna say it's gonna be ugly just for a moment, but on the other side, you're gonna feel so much lighter. So if you're looking for like connection, if you're looking to dive deeper into your body, if you don't know where to move or how to get rid of heavy sensations or deep feelings, the body gets you there. And so the work that I do, I'm very grateful and I'm very blessed to be able to hold space for women and whoever wants to embark on this journey to the deeper self, because there's beauty to be discovered behind all of that.
I love that. And I've had the privilege of being in family constellations twice. And those are so powerful. I don't even know how to put it in words.
How do you?
That a stranger can step in and act as a family member and just intuitively know what to say, when to say it, how to interact with you. It was like pure magic when I experienced it. And it was so deeply healing at a level that you you are seen and validated and shift emotions without having to interact with that family member, which I think is phenomenal. And then the ripple effect, of course, as both of you know, is that because you shifted your energy, the whole dynamic of everything shifts. And, you know, um, things get better when you're the only one. I mean, we're all connected, but you're the one that initiated the shift in energy that ripples out and just makes everything better. So that's another call to everyone watching, who everyone sees this. It's not only you're helping yourself, but you're helping everyone around you. Every relationship, future and past, is getting benefited from this type of energy work. So thank you. That was a beautiful explanation for that. So you're also one of our workshop people for the day of the show on May 17th. So I'm wondering if you can just give us a sneak peek of what you're planning and what people can expect to experience on the day of the show.
So it's all about family constellations.
Yay. Maybe I was picking up on that. I don't know.
And it's exactly what you said. How do you explain family constellation?
Mm-hmm.
It's wild, crazy, beautiful, intense. It's shifting, it's repairing. If the energy is there to be repaired, it's so much. And to explain it is really hard to put in words. And so in the family constellations talk that I'll do, I'll be, inviting the information around family constellations, but also be doing very mini, like, I don't even know what to call them, but just like, 2 minutes or 3 minutes of a, let's take, this, put it together and see what happens, so that people can get a sense of a vibe. Oh, wow, that is kind of interesting. So there'll be a bit of showcasing, I guess is the word, but explanation as much as I can into family constellations, where it originated, and how does it help? How does it work in our bioenergetic field when we step into that field, which we're not creating purposefully, but when we come together in a circle. For those of you who have been in circles, there's an energetic container that gets created. There's a safe holding space that gets created. And so in family constellations, we create, it's there. We're all there for the purpose of helping and witnessing, and that's a big piece of it. Is you're not in it, you're witnessing what's happening, and that's also has its powerful piece as well. So
Yeah.
I'll be diving into the pieces of family constellations and bringing a bit of showcasing in it.
That's
Yeah.
exciting. I'm
Yeah.
very excited.
And on one of the occasions, I wasn't the main participant. Like, it wasn't about my situation, but I learned and healed so much just from being a member of the other constellations, because the universe puts people together who need to be together, right? So and when you fully trust, and you're like, oh, this is new, I don't know, but for some reason I'm supposed to be there, so I'm just gonna go. Yeah, beautiful things happened, and I learned so much when just being a participant. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's one thing that's important to say, that I always feel is important to say, is because some people kind of say, oh my God, that's too intense for family constellation is too intense for me. But it's like unzipping that zipper. It's one, you go to where I always meet you where you are. If it becomes too much, we shift and move the constellation, or we stop the constellation. But also, if we never go there, we're not going to heal. We're not going to shift. We're not going to move something to be able to take the next step. So whether it's family constellations or it's something that happens that rocks your world, at some point, if there's too much stuffing and snuffing, something's going to rock your world. And so to be in a place where you're safe, to kind of move into that rocking of your world, to me, is powerful than to just have a random act of something happen because you're not in alignment and you're holding on to so much. So to be in those safe spaces, yeah, it can feel like a lot, but I can truly and honestly say that when people leave and they move through a big constellation experience, I always hear most of the time, "Oh, that was intense, but I am feeling lighter
Mm.
because we've shifted the energy." So we just have to
Yeah.
move, be open to moving through it, and then that there's something on the other side that's always better.
Yeah, and I know, like, even in my own practice, I find sometimes we naturally just tend to avoid things that make us feel uncomfortable, and that's where that stuffing down comes in, is like you don't want to face it because it doesn't feel good, or like you may perceive it not to feel good. But sometimes, on a subconscious level, things are happening and affecting us in the physical world that, like, we're not really connecting the dots. So being a part of, or being connected with somebody who could facilitate like you do, like we all do, gives people an opportunity, like you said, to be in a space where you can do that, um, you know, uh, a little more gently and a little more guided, to kind of get to that relief and that healing that they may be looking for without it being too intense.
Hmm.
I think everything you've had to say, I can't wait to hear what you have to say at the show because I'm so intrigued. And I think that what you're doing is absolutely beautiful. And I'm so excited that you're a part of the show and that you're a part of our holistic harmony community now. And that you've had the opportunity to share with us today. I was very excited to see your application come through because I've kind of just been getting to the point in like the last year or so where I'm really starting to branch out and get to know people. And once I started to do a little research, I'm like, okay, I love this. Like, so, anyways, you've done a great job today at capturing what you do and really explaining for us and hopefully our viewers what to expect. And I'm just wondering if you could maybe just tell us very quickly how somebody would get a hold of you before the show if they're looking to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So my website is fullyaligned.ca. So that's pretty simple. I am at Jeannine or Jeannine. And I know you said Riant, but I didn't specify, but it is Riant. So it's French. And that's okay. I get it all the time. Jeannine, and it's spelt the French way, Jeannine, and then Riant is where you can find me on most socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And I want to put it out there because it's happening in a few weeks, but I am hosting a retreat and there are still a couple of spots left. So if anyone is
Excellent.
interested, you can reach out, and there's all kinds of things that I offer. And so check out the website, and I look forward to connecting. And if anybody just wishes to have a conversation, because I know sometimes when you're kind of in that space of, oh, who do I reach out to? Who even? Like I always say, if it's not me, find someone,
Yeah.
just make the step. So if it's, you need a call, you need like a 20-minute conversation to say, I don't even know what I'm looking for. Like there's just something feeling off or whatever. Just reach out, go on the website, book a call, and we'll have a conversation.
Hmm.
That's excellent.
Beautiful. Yeah, so we'll be sharing full details of the time of each workshop of the show as the show gets closer. And you can continue following this account to find out about more vendors and all of the show details. And thank you so much, Jeannine Riant, for coming with us today. I grew up in Quebec, so. And I actually meant to ask before, so I apologize. Yeah, so join us May 17th at the show. Anything either of you would like to say before we end the stream?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you
Mhm.
for me. And I mean, I know you put the call out. I always love chatting, and I'm looking forward to connecting in person. I think we've met briefly at the where you I don't know where you were before. Maybe right? I don't know. I feel like I'm
Yep.
such a community of people that sometimes I'm like, have I met that person in person? Or have I just met her online? But I'm looking forward to giving you both a hug.
Yes,
Yes, me too.
same, same. Yes.
That's fantastic. We're really excited, and thank you again so much for being here today. I feel like, just like you, I can't wait to give you a big hug and get to meet you in person. And yeah, we're just so honored to have you be a part of our show. So Thank you again, and thank you to all of our live viewers today. And please continue to follow along because we have a few more lives in our pocket and some more details to share coming up. So, yeah, thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Okay. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.